I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming today, especially those of you watching online at RightRangersRide.com. Today is National Signing Day here at Northwestern State. My name is Brian Moon, Director of Athletic Communications here at the university. Today, several letters of intent rolling in. The office has been busy, and I'd like to take a moment to commend the football coaching staff here at Northwestern. Hard grouping work of individuals has been working around the clock for several months to bring in a quality group of student athletes. The heavy Oklahoma flavor. Today, head coach Alan Hall is on hand with us, and he will walk us through some of the players, give us some of the highlights of the class, and even show us some videos. So you don't have to wait to envision what these guys will look like in a Ranger uniform and see what they can do on the field. So without further ado, in his second season as head coach at Northwestern Oklahoma State, his first full recruiting class is complete. Please welcome Alan Hall.
Thank you for that, Brian. I too would like to welcome everyone here today and those that are watching online to this press conference for the 2013 signing class. In the Bible, James 5:11 says that, as you know, we count as blessed those that have persevered. And I want to commend my staff because we are truly blessed today to be able to announce this signing class of incoming Ranger football players. Our staff's worked extremely hard for the past couple of months in putting this class together. And I certainly want to thank them for all of their efforts. I'd also like to thank their wives and families for the sacrifices that they made in allowing these coaches to be gone as much as they were in order to accomplish this. I'd also like to include my family, my wife in that, because I'm sure it wasn't easy to deal with during this time of the year with everything going on in our household, although I'm sure my wife probably didn't mind me being gone out of the house anyway. I'd also like to thank Dr. Cunningham and her staff for giving us this opportunity to showcase Northwestern Oklahoma State University in such a positive light with the move to Division II in the NCAA and the Great American Conference as well. We won a lot of head-to-head battles with bigger schools on some of these young men because we have a better product to present to these student athletes, especially here in Oklahoma. I'd also like to thank Andy Carter, our athletic director, for providing us with the resources in order for us to be able to go out and recruit these fine young men. I'd also like to thank Brad Franz and the recruitment staff for sharing their time on the weekends, which certainly helps us host these young men when they come to visit our campus and to be able to show them what we have to offer. I'd also like to thank Dr. Steve Lohman, Dr. Bo Hannaford, and Dr. Chandler Mead for giving up their time on Saturdays. They spend a lot of time coming up here and visiting with recruits and their families, and it certainly was an added benefit for us to be able to take advantage of it. I'd also like to thank Brian Holmgren and the athletic communications staff. Having our first signing day venture together certainly made things a lot more smooth in terms of being able to get this done. Also, and lastly, I'd like to thank Ms. McManus, our Associate AD, for compliance. This is such a large class. There's a lot that has to go on behind the scenes now with the NCAA, paperwork that has to be signed, scholarship packets that must go out. And I'll say this, I've been doing this 18 years, and you can tell the difference between our first year together and this year. She won't talk about this, but the first year we were here, we were in such a short time, and a month and a half to do this. The night before signing day, we were probably here till, it had to be close to 3:30 in the morning, trying to get these packets done, faxed out to all these high schools. And believe it or not, she won't say so, but I think we left out of here about 7:15 last night. So it's a huge progress in terms of being able to get this done and then also get the things back today. So I certainly want to thank her for those efforts. This class, we're awfully proud of, but at the same time, these young men are just going to be freshmen. You know, you don't know the true valuation of this class until they've been here a couple of years and have figured out how to handle the college atmosphere, how to handle playing at the college level. Because there's a jump, regardless from a kid coming from an 8-man program to a 6A program that's a state champion. There's a certain level of improvement, maturity, both on and off the field that has to take place before they're successful. So we truly won't know the outcome of this class until we're able to give them a couple of years, get their feet wet, and let them know, or let them kind of settle themselves into the college atmosphere. But we're certainly very proud of them. I think all in all, we were about 73% of our signees this year are right here from the state of Oklahoma, which has always been something that I've stressed, not only to my staff, but something we're going to believe in. We're going to recruit the Oklahoma kid, and we're going to win with kids from inside our own borders. You know, that's something that I don't think every school in our own conference can even say. I think if you were to tomorrow go and compare signing day classes from the other schools in the Great America Conference, especially the ones in Oklahoma. I think you'll see a much different ratio in terms of Oklahoma kids compared to Ag State kids in terms of what they do. It's very important to us, and I'm very proud of the fact that our staff has done that. Now, obviously, not all of our kids are from Oklahoma. We do have some primarily from our bordering states, in Texas and Kansas, junior colleges from Kansas, and Mississippi, and Iowa, and those things. So it's a very good class. We were able to fill a lot of needs inside of the signees. I think we're somewhere around 38 to 40 signees today, which is a good group of kids. And like I said, we were able to fill some needs, both offensively and defensively. We're now going to show a quick video presentation of some of these signees. It's not an all-inclusive video, or otherwise your wife might be upset because you missed dinner. We could be here for hours on end if we showed everybody, but it is a sampling of some of our signees so that you have an opportunity to witness what this class hopefully will look like for years to come out here on Ranger Field. So we can start that. You'll see that we've got it broken down offensively and defensively, and we're first going to take a look at the offensive players. Can everybody see that? We're going to start off in the backfield. A young man named Malcolm Robinson. Malcolm is a running back from Little Rock, Arkansas, from Little Rock Central High School. He was a 3-year starter, all-conference performer in 2010, 11, and 12, and was also the MVP of the Junior Overall National Underclassmen Combine in 2012. Malcolm was a heavily recruited young man. We were able to, signing day came down between us and Henderson State, and that's something that we're awfully proud of. As you see here, this first clip, Malcolm's also a gifted kick returner, which is something we wanted to stress in our special teams in terms of making those a little bit better. Here you see him from the backfield now. Malcolm obviously possesses pretty good speed. Something else that we were looking to shore up with the losses that we had in the backfield this year. So we're very excited about Malcolm becoming a Ranger and look forward to a bright future for him. Next young man is Reggie Harris. He's a wide receiver, teammate of Malcolm's, also from Little Rock, Arkansas. All-State in 2011 and 12, all-conference in 11 and 12, all-state in track and field in 11, and hopefully again in 12 as a sprinter. Arkansas all-state football team in 2012, finished the year with 60 catches for 930-something yards and over 1,000 all-purpose yards. Very gifted, both catching the ball down the field, running reverses, that type of thing. Could also be utilized in the special teams area. But as we grow in the Great America Conference and have to play against 5 or 6 Arkansas schools every year, we wanted to try to start getting over there and taking some of their better players. Next young man is Christian Glock. He's an offensive tackle from Oklahoma City, Putnam City North High School. Christian's a big kid, all Oklahoma 6A district selection. As you can see, plays offensive tackle. Something we tried to stress this year was getting some more tackles in here that were longer, rangy guys that were more athletic. Believe it or not, he's about 6'6". I actually have to look up to him. That's a little unique for me. Next young man is Jacob Ramos. He's a quarterback from Glenpool, Oklahoma, Glenpool High School. Threw for over 3,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, was named to the Tulsa All-World team. Nice venture here about Jacob. He throws the deep ball very well, which was something that not every kid can do coming out of high school. Certainly impressed by that. Jacob's father played here as a tailback under Coach Loman at that time. His name's Rod Hurley. So we're proud to have him now continuing that family legacy here in Rangerland. Next young man is Gerard Funwellen, tight end from Corpus Cove, Texas. Corpus Cove High School, 3-year letterman, 6'3", 240, all district and all state in Texas. Very athletic, very physical, the line of scrimmage. We were very happy to be able to go down here. You'll see him blocking out on the perimeter. Does a very good job in space, something that we certainly look forward to being able to utilize him hopefully right away as a true freshman. Next young man is another quarterback we signed, John McBride out of Del City, Oklahoma, Del City High School. Threw for 1,380 yards last year and accounted for 21 touchdowns. He was the Oklahoma 5A offensive back of the year down there at Del City. And again, the young man that throws the deep ball exceptionally well is also a pretty nifty athlete. Not blazing speed in the 4.4 area, but probably high 4.5s, lower 4.6s, and is able to do some things with his feet as well. I think we've got a shot here of him, pretty good touchdown run right here by him. Very excited about his future here. Next young man is Kervin Brown, another offensive lineman from San Antonio, Texas, James Madison High School. First team all-district selection, also led his team in the state quarterfinal. He's probably one of the few guards we signed, but was very athletic, and watching him get around and play in space, and we thought he might be athletic enough to possibly play tackle or have to stay inside, but we liked watching him move around and take care of people. The next young man's another offensive tackle from Moore, Oklahoma, South Moore High School, Jake Spradling, who's an All-Oklahoma 6A selection. Another young man, you'll see, got a good frame, big kid, who's athletic and can move around, plays good in space, can play a number of different spots for us, also played some center in high school. Next young man is Weston Dix from Spring Branch, Texas, Canyon Lake High School, 3-year starter, 3-year 11. He's in the 6'5" area, another guy that I look eye to eye to. And the nice thing about Weston, he was also, I think, a 29 or 30 ACT guy, so very good in the classroom as well. And we look forward to having him. Denver Ryan, right tackle here, number 75. Again, another kid, good frame, 6'5", in the 260, 265 area. Enjoyed visiting him and his folks. Very good player and athletic, again, in terms of being rangy and being able to move in space. Next young man, Jonathan Clays from Shreveport, Louisiana, Evangel Christian High School. 106 knockdowns he accumulated down there. If you don't know anything about Louisiana football, Evangel Christian has put out a lot of Division I talent over the years, being a private school. But Jonathan, again, athletic, playing there at tackle, played against the number 2 rated defensive in the country, and held him to no sacks, which was a good feat. Jesse Webb, wide receiver from Frederick, Oklahoma, Frederick High School, 6'4", 190 pounds or so. Was one of the leading receivers in the state of Oklahoma yardage-wise this year. Finished with 1,305 yards on 65 catches and 15 touchdowns. That averaged over 20 yards a catch. Great long frame that's athletic. Can move around well in space after the catch. You know, can run with the ball out of the backfield and receiver runs and that type of thing. We're very excited about adding him to our wide receiver corps. We think he's a young man that may have a chance to come in and play right away. Can stretch the field vertically. Certainly help us in the run game area. Garrett Asher, running back from Midwest City, Oklahoma, Carl Albert High School, all-district 5A selection, rushed for 832 yards. They did win the state championship this year. Ranger fans will see him. He's a lot similar to a current graduate we have in Jared Jackson, but physical runner, runs in between the tackles, very nice, could play a number of different things, maybe even continue to grow into a tight end type role. H-back type role, but we're excited to have him on board. Our first hometown guy, Kyler Freeman, offensive lineman from Alva, Oklahoma, over in Alva High School, Northwest Oklahoma All-Star. Played both offensive and defensive line here in Alva. We recruited him as an offensive lineman. Again, he played tackle there. Very athletic, and we think he's going to be a good one for us down the road. Somebody that people from Alva should be familiar with, Hennessy High School, Levi Hill, running back, has had a great career down there at Hennessy and the success of that program. He rushed for almost 2,000 yards this year and 27 touchdowns. Brings another dimension, a little bit of a bigger young man. Again, could grow into a number of different things if he wasn't playing tailback. But we're excited about his future here and the things that he brings to the table. We think he's quite versatile. It's going to help us tremendously on offense. I remember watching his highlight tape when we tried to put this together. There were so many to choose from. We really we couldn't separate them all. Now we'll move over to the other side of the ball defensively. I believe we're going to start out with our second hometown product, Tanner McGahee from Alva High School. He's going to be playing outside linebacker, defensive back type position for us, all Northwest Oklahoma All-Star, Enid News and Eagle All-Star. He was the 2A running back of the year in the state of Oklahoma, 1,600 yards rushing, 57 tackles on defense. We liked his athleticism, his aggressiveness. We think he is, again, versatile enough to play a number of different things in the secondary for us and outside linebacker. So, of course, he won games on defense. So we went ahead and chose to put him on defense. But you see a little bit of his athleticism here, carrying the ball, the numbers he put up. Excited about having Tanner joining us this year. Next young man is Levante Doxey, another linebacker, Norman, Oklahoma, Norman North High School. 108 tackles this year with 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 21 quarterback hurries. Very rangy young man who can play a number of different things. Again, we enjoyed his athleticism in being able to rush the passer in certain situations, as well as be a good run stopper. We think he too, with our losses at the linebacking core, with our senior class graduating, it was a need we needed to fill, and you'll see we've signed a handful of linebackers this year. Next one, Garth Tubbs, a linebacker from Cibola, Texas, Steele High School. He was an all-district 5A selection down in Texas. Great football down there in that area. And again, we liked his ability to play both inside and outside the box and be able to stop the run as well as get back into coverage. Very athletic and made a lot of plays. Hopefully that trend's going to continue. Braden Watts, a defensive end from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, from Bartlesville High School, 6'4", 225, first team all district, 67 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, also 1 fumble recovery. Again, you'll see the recurring theme here on the defensive side of the ball. We try to go and sign guys who are not only rangy but athletic, could change direction, and be able to play a number of different spots. And Braden can play the rush in for us as well as stand up, possibly play an outside linebacker type role, drop them off into cover to be able to bring them certain blitz situations. So excited about having him. Junior college signee, Kevin Price, defensive lineman from Wichita, Kansas, from Coffeyville Community College, all city and high school there in Wichita Northwest. Also had a team high 7 sacks at Coffeyville this past season. Kevin's athletic enough to play both defensive end and defensive tackle. That's one of the reasons that attracted us to him. Did play both there at Coffeyville, and he's not far from home. Eric Davis, defensive back from Edmond, Oklahoma, Edmond High School, led the state in interceptions this year. Probably was close to leading the state in interceptions for touchdowns. I think he had 7 or 8 picks, and 3 or 4 of those were for touchdowns. Just a young man that covers a lot of ground in the secondary. Is also a good tackler, but seems to have a knack for the ball and is always around. So certainly is a need for us in terms of finding guys that can cover and play in space. And we're excited about seeing what he's going to bring to the table this year as a freshman. Next young man is Logan Miller, defensive lineman from Enid, Oklahoma, Enid High School, all-district selection, ESPN talk show, banquet all-star. Logan is another young man that can play nose, defensive tackle, maybe even end. Very strong young man for his age, and makes a lot of plays in the interior, and probably physically ready to play right away in there, even at this level. We're excited about him. Cortez Zachary, DB from Lawton, Oklahoma, Lawton High School, all-district selection, corner and safety. Very excited about this young man. This is another young man you'll see. He had just as many highlights in the special teams area in terms of returning kicks and punts as he did on defense. And that was one of the things that attracted us or separated him on our board, was the fact that he could come and help in a number of different ways, especially in helping us in special teams. I think he had 3 or 4 kick returns for touchdowns this year, as well as several nice punt returns. He can certainly help us shore up that phase of our game in terms of making us that much better. Here he is. You'll see him on defense, running the football, making plays. Next young man is Dylan House, defensive lineman from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, Bartlesville High School, 53 solo tackles, 3 sacks, and 11 tackles for loss. Again, another young man, much similar to Logan Miller from Enid, that we think can come in and help us interior right away. He's definitely mature enough, physical enough to do it. doesn't have the game. He can be a little stronger, but moves around quite well for a man who's about 280 pounds. Ira Hill is a defensive end from Shreveport, Louisiana, Evangel Christian. Again, teammates from Jonathan Clay on the O-line, 6'3", 245, had 61 tackles, 7 sacks, the 2-year starter there. Again, much similar to Mr. Watts from Bartlesville, athletic range. He could probably put on 15 more pounds and play defensive line as well as stay in, but athletic to be able to move around like that. Jordan Norris is a DB from Garland, Texas, Lakeview Centennial High School. He's a cover guy, corner. We're very excited about. He plays, not afraid to play man-to-man in our defensive scheme. We think he'll fit in quite nice. Also is a very sure tackler, not afraid to play in the line of scrimmage and be able to come up and force the issue, which is another good thing for him. Denzel Rodriguez, defensive lineman from Ellsworth Community College. He's originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Defensive tackle. Ellsworth ran short of bodies and wound up moving into the offensive side, but as you see here in some of these clips, he's a natural defensive lineman that we think can step in and help us right away, compete for a job, be able to make us better on defense, and we're excited about that young man. That concludes the video that we have. Again, it's certainly not all inclusive of all of our players that we've signed. Like I said, we had to kind of pick and choose our spots so we could put something together. We'll hopefully have a release for you listing outlining all of the signees as we get that cleaned up. So that concludes my portion. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time that you may have.
Coach, and looking at your recruits offensively, you've got a couple of quarterbacks in there that look like they can come in and play for you. Next year, you're actually coming in with no quarterbacks with any experience. So that's going to tell us a little bit about what's going to happen with these 4 or 5 guys you have, because they're all vying for the #1 spot, are they not?
That's very true, Randy. We're looking for the young man that's going to be leading our program for the next few years, or next year. We're going to be young at this moment. We've got 3 here on campus currently. Jake Streck, young man that has had a little bit of playing time backing up Kyle Yeck. We have a redshirt freshman in Reed Miller, who we signed last year. He was our freshman product last year in our signing class. And we traveled him all year long, kind of thinking he might eventually be the guy. But again, you know, time will tell. Some of that we'll look at this spring and see where they are, and then make a decision from there, at least moving forward into fall camp. And then when we get to fall camp, you know, we have the young guys here this summer. We get to evaluate them a little bit more, and then we go on into fall camp and see.
Will it be open to all 5 of them?
Sure. As a program, we open our roster both beginning of fall and beginning of spring. We started over that way. Nobody gets complacent. Nobody gets happy with where they are. We kind of keep them on their toes and make them continue to earn where they are. And that way, if somebody's improved over the last 4 to 5 months, and they beat somebody out, we don't put the depth chart out there 1 year and it stays the same as long as somebody's here. We feel like you got to earn your spot every day. So we'll open it up again in fall, but you know, we'll obviously have a start point and move from there.
You told me the other day you lost some recruits, which everybody usually does. Have you so far maintained all your staff or all your players from last year?
Well, probably 80% of them. We've lost some. Some happen. There's attrition in every program, whether it's through academics or kids feel like, you know, they look, you know, it's hard to fool kids nowadays. They kind of know. They think they ever have a shot, or, you know, they don't want to work that hard or what have you. So we'll from time to time lose a few. And, you know, we lost a few, nothing that significantly hurt us. And recruiting now, that's a whole other story. You know, certainly we lost kids to other programs that, you know, would have certainly helped us, or otherwise we wouldn't have been recruiting. But that's part of it. You know, we'll lose some from time to time.
You said you had 38 to 40 recruits, so you're planning on more?
We had some letters out there to some recruits that we haven't gotten back yet, so I can't speak about them. So there should be some more signees coming in the next couple of weeks that we'll get some scholarships back on. We'll release those at that time. But yes, there will be some more that you'll read about.
What about junior college? Just the 2 or 3 we saw? Is that what you've got?
Well, what we did talk about are those that checked in here in January. You know, we had a handful that arrived in January and are enrolled in school here now and working out with the team. We got a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of linebackers. One of the quarterbacks was a backup quarterback in junior college. He decided So we had about 7 or 8 that are vying for some positions through spring ball. So that wasn't inclusive. We also have some other letters out there on some young men again that we're waiting to hear on.
Was there anything specific that you were looking for with this class, offensively, defensively? Needs that he needed to feel like he needed to meet?
Always looking to get better. So, nothing was off the table, but we knew we wanted to continue to improve our offensive line. That's something you always look at doing. And again, you see, just in the film alone, we probably had 5 or 6 with a few others that we are also trying to actively recruit. Defensively, we lost some linebackers to graduation. We had to fill that spot. We were a little thin up in the defensive line area to begin with. We only traveled with 3 of them throughout the fall, so we wanted to fill that need, and I think we did. We still, again, some of these spots we're still waiting on some things. Probably the one area we haven't solidified yet is probably a punter. Kyle Yeck punted for us last year, and that was an experiment. And but that's also how the A-bomb was made. They were tossing stuff around, and voila. So, we're still looking for that. We were able to find a long snapper. We signed one of the better long snappers in the state of Oklahoma this year. That was obviously another need because we only had one last year that could do it. So we now have at least 2. So we're still looking for a few things, but we probably filled 70% of our need. So
this being your second recruiting class, how do you feel the progression has gone in regards to the overall transformation of Northwestern football?
Getting there. Good question. Because people will talk about it being our second recruiting class. It's really only our first full recruiting class because getting hired here in December last year, we had basically 45 days to put together one. This year we had 4 to 5 months to put together one. So we feel like this was our first full one. And it's coming around. I think I know we talked all season long last year about how young we were, but I don't think what you're going to see this fall is probably an even younger team than you saw last year. Probably 65 to 70% of our roster next year will be freshmen and sophomores. And we'll have our junior, even though we'll have a larger senior class than we did last year. The middle class, so to speak, will be much smaller. So it's going to be on the young end and up there in that's going to walk out. And then our second full class or our third official class will fill it up, leading us into eligibility for playoff contention and that kind of thing.
Give us a letter grade of what you think your recruiting class is going to be.
This one?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's tough. On paper, C+, B-. But I'm critical. You ask some of the staff, they'll probably tell you B+, A-. But, it's really hard to say, because we could sit here and talk today about, 40 or 45 or how many we have on paper, and 5 months from now, only 35 wind up showing up, and then all of a sudden that grade from A goes to B, and then they get out there and all of a sudden they freak out because you'll lose 2% that show up in camp and realize, holy smokes, college football is a whole lot different than high school, and they do the midnight shuffle on out the dorm, and out they go. They get homesick, they miss their girlfriend. There's a number of different reasons why they check out of here, but until we actually get into fall camp, it's tough to even. That's why I'm going to be conservative in saying that range, but hopefully they prove me wrong, and then I'd rather eat crow at that point and wind up they being great than me overselling to you now and I look like a fool. So.
How big is the squad going to be?
I'm sorry?
You've got these recruits. How big is the total squad going to be?
125. And yeah, that's what we shoot for, but again, I tell you today we're going to have 125. 2 days into camp we're at 120, and 2 days later we're at 180. I mean, it's just that's a figure that I run in my head to try to budget myself up. Sorry.
Which position of all these freshman signees? I mean, where are you looking for the biggest impact the soonest? Offensive lineman?
I think if just overall newcomers, I would say the offensive line. Like I said, we had a few we signed at the break that came in here in January. And then in the signing class, we think we've signed some pretty good ones. So probably as a whole, that group, but there's a number of different spots on defense that we're excited about. So we lost quite a few linebackers that we counted on this past fall, Michael Harmon, Eric Feemster, a handful of other guys, and moving some guys around. So linebacker core probably too is another area where we have high hopes for in terms of what happens this fall. That'll be two positions to watch out for.
How are you feeling?
Me? I'm good. It's a little hot up here, but
I mean, your health is good.
doing great. I, couldn't. I don't know if I could handle it much better. Really, outside of occasional day here, day there to go to treatment, I've been doing good. So no complaints whatsoever. I think my staff would probably tell you they'd like to have seen me sick a little longer, so I wasn't around. But no, doing good. Appreciate you.
Staff still intact?
Yet, I mean, they're still here. Yeah, they're all, haven't left yet. Now, signing date's come and gone, so, there's nothing to hold them back anymore, but, they're still here and doing a great job, as you saw there. I was, with my health, a little bit in and out during this whole process, and they really, were the ones that held it together. And I didn't do near as much this year in the recruiting process as they did, as I would like to have. And, we still managed to put together a great class. So it's all due to their work. So hopefully they'll stick around. Because I'm excited to see what we can do this year. Really am.
All right.
Anything else?
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you very much for being here tonight.